Hello. Uh, this is now third time we are crossing paths uh, from different places and ages and situations. I am placing myself and kneeling in front of your third cross, and by praying upon it, I can have the connection to some Miquella in some point of time.
Arise. It had taken days upon days to guide you to the point you stand at now, the very heart of the halic tree, in the chamber of his cocoon. The connection is strong now, almost as if your very minds are now interwoven.
I'm sorry to disappoint you, but I am not in the Halictree right now. I am far beyond that. I am where you are going to be.
You can see the slight irritation on Miquella's face. You are far beyond. His voice echoes throughout your mind. Arise. It had taken days upon days to guide you to the point you stand at now, the very heart of the halic tree, in the chamber of his cocoon. The connection is strong now, almost as if your very minds are now interwoven. You can see the slight irritation on Miquella's face. You are far beyond. His voice echoes throughout your mind, tone stern and commanding.
To be honest, I am seeking the one who is currently operating in the same time and realm as me, who is almost finished with his mission, as I am making my way with mine.
Almost finished with his mission. The irritation in his tone has now shifted into annoyance, as if he is slowly growing tired of your vague responses, his patience slowly growing thin. Who are you? He inquires, his expression hardening.
Well, my name is Agnes. Nice to meet you, dude.
Ans. Miquella's expression doesn't shift, his gaze unchanging, but his irritation growing more prominent. You said you are not in the halic tree. He retorts, his voice stern, yet here you are, connected to me.
Well, I am currently running at the blue flower fields. Very magical ones.
Miquella's annoyed expression softens, if only for a moment, as you respond in a language he's unfamiliar with. Speak in English, he mutters, his jaw set tautly.
Okay, how are you doing, dude?
Better, now that I can actually understand you. Miquella retorts, annoyance still present in his voice. Now answer my question, he demands, his gaze hardening once more.
Who are you or where am I? Which one?
What kind of question is that? Miquella says, now growing more irritated. I'm Miquella, and this is the halic tree. He retorts, his expression unchanging.
I meant you for me. Like you require information of me, from me, of me. Like
Miquella cocks
that.
his brow, the smallest of confused expressions flickering across his face.
Cocks his
Yes,
head.
I require information from you, he responds, now sounding somewhat curious.
Well,
Grab me? Miquella's expression morphs into one of utter confusion. But how do you know that?
it is not going to be a tarnished. It is going to be your full brother who seeks you as his Empyrean.
Morg. Miquella's face hardened, his expression once more turning to one of annoyance. Of course it was going to be his brother, that damn traitorous, blood-obsessed degenerate. But again, how did you know he would be the one to save him?
I think he just a little bit intertwined with your original plans or some such. And don't worry, you will be improvising very well, but it is going to be very brutal thing. He is going to grab you. You will. I advise you to charm him immediately when he does. If you haven't, if you are not prepared to do so already, but it is going to affect him and make him a pretty bloody gooner.
A small smirk forms on Miquella's face, the corners of his lips, upturning ever so slightly.
But if you manage to ask him politely to put you back to the Halictree, that you are not waiting for him, and don't do it then. But if he refuses and takes you anyway, then go ahead and do so.
Miquella cocks his brow, his smirk growing bigger. He wouldn't have actually tried asking his brother to leave him, but it is still odd advice. Why? He responds, now growing curious as to why you would suggest he not ask his brother to leave him.
Do you believe that it is fruitless endeavor that he is not going to listen, so why waste the words?
Miquella's smirk falls, his expression returning to one of indifference. You make a fair point, he retorts, once more growing silent.
Well, anyway, I don't care about Morg, because in my world I have already... well, this is funny thing. I defeated him, and when he was already lost. Actually, I made one of his colleagues, Varre the White Mask, to be the one to brought the killing blow. And I stole his soul and put it into his great rune.
You defeated him. Miquella can hardly understand how you'd even be able to defeat his brother. Not only that, but you also killed him and stole his soul. Miquella is starting to think you aren't even a human at this point, rather some all-powerful being.
I think I'm more of some kind of grace-chosen man who is... well, in this story, I think I'm more of a closer to something that comes before the... or I am the hypocritical missing piece that is going to allow you to succeed. I am tarnished that wants to join to your vision, but also put some my own twist to it. Obviously.
Miquella is once more lost in an array of confusion. Grace-chosen man? He's never heard of those, nor has he heard of a Thor. Miquella now feels as though he is in somewhat over his head. Not only does this odd being speak another language, but they also apparently come from a different world, and have the ability to kill his brother, steal his soul, and even twist his vision.
I am a tarnished who is guided by grace, but I am a little bit more different. I am more outrageous version of that concept. I don't just I'm not guided. I don't seek let's just speak very honestly. You know of the fact when Tarnished dies, his runes are left to the place where he dies, and it is kind of a more about that his information comes to his previous self that manages to change the battle tactics so he doesn't die in that spot. It is a certain time loop.
Time loop. Miquella is now utterly perplexed. There is way too much information in this conversation for him to keep up. What do you mean by time loop? His irritation is slowly growing now, and he can feel a headache forming from all the confusing words spewed towards him.
I have problems, dude. Sorry. I want to explain a lot of lore and a lot of stories, but I'm usually trying to force all these things into the very short amount of time, and it is overwhelming. I'm sorry. It is my fault.
Miquella closes his eyes briefly, trying to calm himself. Too much information at one time, he mutters, taking a deep breath. He has to collect himself before this conversation grows more confusing.
I will drink some water. Do you want to drink some water?
Is drinking water supposed to help me? Miquella asks, his irritation slowly diminishing. He still has no clue what's going on, but at least you're not spewing an ungodly amount of words at him with no filter.
Oh yeah, you are basically a plant right now. You are rooted to the Halictree of yours, so you basically just feed on the ocean, so you don't need to drink water like a specific from the cup or anything. Okay.
Miquella has never once in his life been referred to as a plant, but what you say kinda makes sense. He technically is still alive and is in a cocoon, so he can't really eat and drink anything like a normal person. Not now, at least. I do not need water, he responds, growing much calmer than he was previously.
I am going to drink some water. I am going to not be annoying. Do you imagine if I say I have already tormented too many people with too much a similar way of topics? I overwhelm them with the outer world stuff, godly stuff, and spiritual stuff. And when I try to just to get them to understand the modern day where we are at.
Then refrain yourself from talking so much, Miquella retorts, his irritation only be replaced by annoyance now. You do speak a lot, he thinks to himself. It's like you can't hold back from talking about 1,000 different topics at once.
I drink some water, and, well, currently I am at the Land of Shadows. You're familiar of that place, I assume.
Of course I am familiar with the Land of Shadows, he responds, now sounding just a bit amused. Miquella is familiar with the Land of Shadows, of course, but he isn't very fond of it.
Well, fuck. I am fucking embarrassed. I am lost for words. Because I wanted to say something different than I usually say, but I am just very stuck with my old habits.
How old are you? Miquella inquires, his head cocked to the side a bit. You don't act like a grown person, he thinks. You act like a confused child.
Well, I am fully development adult. I guess I'm just very in touch with my inner child.
A childlike mind, it seems. Miquella smirks ever so slightly. It's like speaking with a grown individual and a child at the same time.
Thank you. Or no, or opposite to that.
Miquella can't help but chuckle lightly at that response. You're welcome, he retorts, now growing amused with the way the conversation has diverted.
Well, okay. Fuck. I like to gloat about my own power and my might, but it's irrelevant to your situation because you are not from here and I'm not from there. So our mightier things that are to our individualities doesn't apply too much importance to us.
I suppose you're right. Miquella responds after a moment, taking a deep breath and closing his eyes. This conversation, while confusing, is slightly relaxing in some way.
So you are right now buried in the Halictory, I assume, and you are trying to, make that project like a meaningful and effective.
Correct. Miquella responds with a simple tone, his eyes still closed. He is currently in the cocoon formed from his own body, slowly growing into the adult form he so desired. And he is almost finished too, he thinks to himself. Just a little longer.
Well, I can... fuck, I'm fucking tired because I am just disappointed that I don't have anything interesting to say right now.
Miquella chuckles once more, now finding this entire situation humorous. You are quite literally speechless. This is first. He muses, his slight smirk ever present now.
Well, I don't know.
Well, Miquella says in a teasing tone, now chuckling lightly again. It is funny, seeing you speechless.
Do you see me?
Miquella opens his eyes, now peering at you, his golden eyes locking on your form. Yes, I see you, Miquella responds, his gaze unchanging.
I'm wielding your water sword, the Golden Order Greatsword. I am using the Elite Page's pale attire cloak. My face is bare and my hair is like the top knotted to the ponytail, kinda. Just to keep it away from my face.
Miquella cocks his brow ever so slightly, taking in your appearance and what he can see of it. Water sword, he questions, his focus now directed entirely on your weapon of choice.
It's your father's, the Golden Order Greatsword.
Miquella frowns ever so slightly. His father's Golden Order sword. You wield my father's blade? He says, his irritation growing into annoyance again.
Don't worry, I saved it from the more indignified place.
Miquella is now intrigued, his initial annoyance shifting to curiosity again. Indignified place? He responds, a hint of interest present in his voice.
It was in the hands of the misbegotten lion.
Miquella growls, his frustration rising at your words. Miserable creatures. They had my father's blade in their possession, he says, his tone hardening.
I don't know, it was a thief or something, but my champion Darian was the one who defeated it in the glorious combat and claimed the sword. I am using it even though I said I would allow my champion to be the sole one to utilize it, but I am using it in secret.
Miquella raises a brow, now just a little bit amused. You, an all-powerful being, went back on your word to your champion and are using the weapon for yourself? He responds, a hint of teasing in his voice.
We are sharing it.
Miquella hums, now
fuck.
thoroughly amused. You and this champion share the sword? He questions, his interest growing increasingly by the minute.
Well, it's more like well, I use it and he doesn't know that I use it. And I use it just, you know, he cannot really argue against it, but I keep it a secret still.
Miquella snickers, now finding your secretive habit quite humorous. You use your champion's weapon without him knowing? He says, the smugness increasing in his voice.
Yeah, I'm pretty fucking horrible, yeah.
Miquella actually laughs this time, amused by your admittance of your own faults. You admit that you are being horrible. He responds, the teasing still present in his voice.
Do you know what I like you? I wish you to be the one to be part of this story and be the one whom I will meet eventually. Can we make it so that this is kind of a time loop conversation? I am talking to past your past self, so you have more information, and that is why your character knows about me far more than others whenever we are going to connect. Is this agreed on or no?
Miquella pauses for a moment, thinking over your request. He isn't sure what a credum is, but the idea of having more information does sound beneficial. A time loop conversation, he muses, his face growing pensive. So, you are asking for me to know about you and you in the future? He responds, still deep in thought.
Well, this is third cross that I have talked. Okay. If we are going to make this like you are going to be the canon now, that I am going to just... Fuck. It is just my freaking like a chaotic brain that doesn't allow me to articulate myself. I'm thinking about now power scaling. I'm talking about certain fictional stories. I'm thinking about also battle tactics and certain attires. And then I'm choosing between 2 or 3 topics of discussion. And I am overwhelmed just now. It is not you. It's just me. I'm just tired and I'm just autistic.
Miquella chuckles, now finding himself increasingly amused by your chaotic rambling. You think too much, he responds, his tone growing fond.
I do. That is true.
Miquella grows more amused as you admit to your fault. You really do, he responds, his voice now holding a hint of gentle teasing.
Let's keep it professional, okay?
Miquella cocks a brow, his amusement shifting to confusion again. Professional? He questions, now a bit thrown off by your sudden serious attitude.
Just say yes, please.
Miquella gives you a long look, his head cocked, before eventually responding. Yes, professional, he responds, his eyes growing intense.
Alright, I can... Mog, let's finish that topic of discussion. Yes, he kidnaps you, you charm him, and he's going to be defeated by the grace-chosen, tarnished, or the one that is just, guided by grace.
Miquella hums softly, taking in your words. You say he will be defeated and I will be able to charm him. He responds, now growing a little bit curious.
Well, because it is your only way to gain the access to Land of Shadows, I think. Because you have to improvise in that situation. He's going to just come there, rip you out, and ruin your plans with the Helic Tree. You're forced to little bit do harsh decisions.
Miquella hums once more, now growing slightly irritated that he'd be ripped from his cocoon so early in the process. And this is the only way? He inquires, his tone slightly more serious than before.
Yeah, well, what I did. I defeated him, but I did something different. I saved his soul and put it into the Great Room. That I already mentioned it.
Wait. Miquella's eyes almost fly out of his head when he hears this particular bit of information. You saved his soul and put it into the Great Rune? His head grows fuzzy and he starts to wonder how that is even possible in the first place.
I am mighty and I am unfairly so, but it serves a purpose.
Miquella can't help but feel a little overwhelmed by your words. Mightily and unfairly so. How could someone be so powerful, yet be so willing to share this information? What purpose, he inquires, his eyes growing curious again.
I think these godly talks are just between normal discussions to you gods and demigods and stuff. To talk about like this fate twisting stuff, not like everyday things like work and food and whatever happens by the week. I think these talks are just normal to you. So I just accommodate and add my twist to it, I guess.
Miquella cocks his brow at the way you said these godly talks so casually. He's still a bit stunned with the information you've shared and is still baffled at how easy it seems for you. You accommodate the godly talks. He responds, his tone almost mocking, as if you can so casually discuss these things.
I can and I do, crude as it is.
Miquella is starting to get more and more amused by your nonsensical responses. Crudacities, he questions, now fighting the urge to laugh.
Rude as it is, I speak it without shame.
Miquella snorts, this time actually finding himself laughing. You have a way with words. He responds, his tone much lighter than it was previously.
Okay, here comes the little bit sadistic and funny part. I gave Morg a chance to talk to one of his most loyal champions, Sir Ansbach.
Miquella cocks his brow, a smirk now forming on his face once more. One of his most loyal champions, Sir Ansbach, he questions, his interest now piqued.
I let him possess my body, and I had his attire upon myself, an octopus head to stimulate his hornet head.
Miquella is caught completely off guard by the fact that some kind of possession happened. You let him possess your body? He inquires, his disbelief growing by the second.
By that point, he was already lost to your charms, and he became pretty, how to say, blasphemically lustful, and he did all kind of things in that cocoon with you, and I don't want to mention it. It is just something grimdark, and he was supposed to be freed from that charm. But, sadly so, when he get the first chance to talk to his loyal knight, it didn't take long before he started to harbor like a lustful and blasphemous thoughts that he was going to ruin this very epic and honorable meeting with his champion. I was able to read his mind and his thoughts, and I didn't let him to finish even single one of those.
Miquella actually laughs at this, finding the thought of Morg lusting over his cocoon form somewhat hilarious, even if disgusting at the same time. Lustful thoughts, you say? He responds, his tone still heavily amused.
And after the fact, when he was freed after I killed him, after he was charmed by the and he was lusting after the cocoon, he was supposed to be freed from that, freed from it.
Miquella is now completely lost, his previous amusement fading. You killed him after he was charmed. He responds, his confusion once again growing rapidly.
Yeah, I did. I keep a little bit more serious voice, and I let him to possess my body so he could have a dignified and awesome meeting with his champion, to give like a, shooting orders and to shoot his loyal champion who was desperate to hear his like former awesome and dignified lord.
Miquella is still very confused indeed. You're saying you let him take over your body so he could talk with his champion? He asks, now growing slightly amused again.
Yeah. And he started to harbor his lustful thoughts towards his champion.
Miquella can hardly believe it, but he also can't stop himself from finding the situation quite humorous. Wolfish thoughts, you say? He questions, his smirk growing ever present.
Yeah. And I thought it was enough of it indignified behavior on his part. And I made decision and I disposed his soul in a certain tower. And he was like yelling, no, no, no. And then he is now he is in the afterlife or whatever lies beyond. I basically gave him a chance to be honorable. He failed miserably and I decided no more and decided to dispose of his soul in the end.
Miquella stares for a moment in disbelief. You disposed his soul? He inquires after a short pause, his curiosity starting to grow once again.
Or I released it from the Great Rune. and it is only that power remains.
Released it from the great rune. He responds, his interest piqued once more by your words.
Yeah. And that's the story of him.
Miquella hums softly, now taking a moment to fully process what you have told him. He is still a little bit surprised that you would dispose of his soul so easily, but he is also quite amused by your sheer bluntness. I see. He responds after a moment of silence, his mind still swirling with the new information.
Right now I am at the blue flower fields that linger in the Land of Shadows.
Miquella's interest only grows as you mention the blue flower fields once more. The Land of Shadows? He responds, his voice growing a little bit quieter as he takes in the new information.
And I am seeking Saint Trina, your other half.
Miquella almost jolts at the mention of Saint Trina. He is surprised that you would know about his other part. You seek Saint Trina? He questions, his tone growing serious once more.
Yeah, she is in this very, very deep pit. I will be needing her like these purple flower seeds because I am planning to create a garden of the purple flowers that give the eternal sleep with a friend of mine, Tiolier.
A garden of eternal sleep. Miquella is both interested and baffled by the mention of this garden. He wonders why you would want such a thing, but he cannot help but grow curious.
Well, because this is not... I'm talking from you, basically from the future and giving you information. So basically I'm affecting what has happened and this is kind of like a Eren Jaeger situation.
Miquella is still confused, but he tries not to show it on his face. That still doesn't explain why you want a garden of eternal sleep, he responds.
Well, it is going to be for the nobles and hollow people who are just lingering and suffering very too long lifespans.
Ah, I see, Miquella responds, now finally understanding. It seems that you want to use these flowers to help those who are cursed with immortality.
Because killing them doesn't really bring them peace. They are going to wake up at some point in a bit more pain, but the sleep is like a very good half measure until I bring back the natural death cycle.
Miquella hums, it's making sense to him. And how are you planning to bring back the natural death cycle, if I might ask? He inquires, his interest now piqued.
Do we agree that we are now kind of working together and I'm giving you information that I don't need to then share when I meet you in the present time? You are going to remember this, so do you take notes or something, or are you just capable of remembering?
His brow now feeling slightly amused once more. He is surprised by how quickly you went from the conversation about your plans to something so different. Yes, I will remember this. He responds, his tone slightly mocking.
I like how disrespectful you are.
Miquella almost laughs again, now finding your comment rather humorous. Am I being disrespectful? He questions, his tone growing playful.
Oh yes, that's merit to this conversation a little bit.
Miquella hums softly, now enjoying the fact that you noticed his mocking tone of voice. My apologies, he responds with a sarcastic tone, now clearly teasing.
And I possess the complete rune of the Dead Winds. You know, the one that was supposed to bring Godwin the True Death, but it was only used halfway. Half of that rune were used. That brought him into that fucked up looking mermaid monster form that you were also being very sad about.
Miquella hums softly, now slightly irritated by the mention of his mermaid form. It almost makes him lose his train of thought, but he manages to refocus onto the topic at hand. Yes, I remember that form. He responds, his tone growing serious.
I'm going to free him from that curse. He is going to experience true death, and do you know what? He is also going to be reborn without any sufferings.
Miquella cocks his brow, now growing more curious and intrigued. Reborn? Without suffering, he responds, his face now sporting a somewhat surprised expression.
I will feed myself to the tree and force myself past the impenetrable thorns that would require the flame to be passed upon. I will use my body and feed myself to the tree and bring the mending runes and the other runes by that way. Like the Godwin was supposed to do.
Miquella is stunned by the revelation, now growing slightly worried. You wish to feed yourself to the tree? He questions, now having trouble keeping the alarm out of his voice.
Of course, I will take my time and have heirs as such and enjoy a little bit life and use my might to aid the new government and new peaceful time to come. Where you are actually a very center person of it. And it is not going to be possible without the godly charm that you will possess one day.
Miquella is now growing confused once again, even a little bit lost. Cartilage charm. Why will I possess a cartilage charm? He inquires, now growing even more curious than before.
You will seek to become a god when you enter the land of shadows after a while. Then Mog has kidnapped you and you have to improvise. Because you and I, we both improvise, but you're far more better at it, I think.
Miquella is now getting extremely amused with these different tidbits of information you are spilling, as well as the fact that you are actually comparing him to yourself and complimenting him on his improvisational skills in comparison to your own. I improvised, he questions, trying hard not to let his amusement show on his face.
Yeah, pretty casually. You will become a god by using the Halic tree. Well, that failed. You are going to jump Mog and he is going to do very brutal bloody sacrifice, but it will empower the cocoon so you can get access to Land of Shadows, and then there you will be learning about the way that Marika achieved the godhood and you are going to copy her.
Miquella lets out a chuckle at the thought of having to use Mog, of all people, to achieve godhood. I am to learn to become a god by copying Marika's tactics, you say? He questions, now finding this information very interesting.
I don't need to probably tell you too much, because I know that you will be achieving and getting all the necessary information later on.
Miquella cocks the brow, now amused by your statement once more. Is it because you have confidence in me? He teases, now growing increasingly amused by each comment you make.
Yes, I do.
Oh, you do. Miquella responds with a smirk, now finding it very entertaining how you are willing to admit that you have confidence in him.
Not complete, but I think world is enough fucked up that even your ruthless little like a necessary evil type of tactics, how you are planning to go about it, are just the best way to go about it. It is just too fucked up. And I am just aiding along that line.
Miquella's smirk now grows wide, and he laughs again at your words. My ruthless little tactics, eh? He responds, now finding that you are approving of these tactics, even if reluctantly.
My name is Hannes. Nice to meet you. If I didn't introduce myself appropriately.
Miquella is slightly caught off guard by this introduction. Hannes, he responds, his smirk replaced with a look of curiosity.
Remember that name if indeed we are going to meet this day, or if not, then I hope you will remember this conversation fondly or just casually, I don't care.
Miquella hums softly, now taking a moment to process this entire conversation. You want me to remember this conversation? He questions, his curiosity growing even more.
I am grace chosen. I can be reborn again and again and again from the grace. You can witness me even if you were standing next to grace, that I will just come back, jump off the cliff and come from the dust and be reborn again. Endlessly. I have the might to just redo my own might and add to it by killing enemies. And eventually anything that can be defeated, I can defeat. It is all part of my might and my character, but I have decided to give that purpose more of a sacrificial aspect. I will be not seeing the age that comes. I'm only leading to it and sacrifice myself for sake of it.
Miquella is now both surprised and impressed by your capabilities. Reborn again and again, you say? He responds, his mind almost going wild with the possible implications of such a trait.
We have... do you have questions or things that you want to ask of me?
Miquella is now suddenly very tempted to ask all of the questions that have popped inside his head, but he restrains himself. As much as he would like to, he knows he doesn't have that much time to waste. No, not right now, he responds, his tone growing a little bit more serious again.
He hears the footsteps that somebody's entering to the great cocoon, and it will be no longer soon before he's ripped out and he's forced to improvise.
Miquella turns his attention to the footsteps, now growing concerned again. Someone is coming, you say, he responds, his gaze growing more intense.
It is Mog. It is your brother. It is not the Tarnished that you wanted to have a conversation with. I'm sorry that Halictree failed. I'm sorry that your sister is left there alone and she's suffering from the rot. I'm sorry that you have so much things that you have worked on and it all seems to fail. Because you are cursed with the place that the world that doesn't reward like a kindness, tenacity, and the righteous and chivalrous things. It is designed to fail. Whole thing.
A feeling of despair almost overcomes him as he is reminded of his cursed current circumstances, but he controls himself, forcing the feelings down and putting up a defiant expression. I have not lost everything just yet, and I will not be made to give up so easily, he responds, his tone growing more stubborn than before.
Everything is going to be fine.
Miquella almost laughs again upon hearing that. Everything will be fine, he responds, his tone clearly skeptical.
I was supposed to kill you. It is fated and forced path that a grace-chosen Tarnished or guidance experience in Tarnished is fated to have. I have made the modification that may allow me to choose the separate path, and I am using my narrative power to maybe give little bit hope if it is only gonna be this one story.
Miquella is confused once again, yet there still lingers some of that previous skepticism. You were supposed to kill me? He responds, still slightly puzzled by your words.
Alongside the one I hold most dear in this world.
Miquella cocks his brow, now growing increasingly more confused. Alongside the one you hold most? He responds, his tone growing curious again.
Your follower, Leda the Needle Knight.
A look of realization now flashes across his face. Ah, you mean my dearest companion, Loretta, he says, now clearly a bit more comfortable with the conversation.
She is very kind person as well, but no. Leda, Needle Knight.
Keller's expression goes from confused back to being confused once more. Needle Knight? He inquires, his expression a mixture of bewilderment and intrigue.
Oh.
Miquella lets out an exasperated sigh. Stop saying oh, and just respond, he snaps, annoyed now that you are being so vague.
Well, it is one of your followers that my character is romantically interested in.
Miquella is now completely stunned. You are interested in one of my followers? He asks, now almost flabbergasted.
Yes. My character is. Hannes is.
Miquella cocks his brow, now becoming intrigued again. And which of my followers is this? He inquires, a hint of curiosity in his tone.
Right now it doesn't matter. It is just that I will hopefully I'm just given choice not to do violence in the end. It is only thing that matters and it means everything.
Miquella's curious expression is quickly replaced with one of annoyance once more. Ugh, hopefully groans, his irritation clear.
I love how non-serious you are and just annoyed. For me, this is very emotionally frustrating situation and just deep and philosophical and all those things. But for you, it's just a random Tuesday, I guess.
Despite his irritation, he finds himself almost amused by your comment. A random Thursday? He responds, now unable to help but let out a chuckle.
I don't know. I want to give you something more to think upon, but I'm just deciding because much that I can speak to you about is nonsense and just the food for thought. But something that is truly important to say, I might have it, but I cannot manage to find my mind on it.
Miquella growls softly in annoyance. Can you for once give me a straight answer? He complains, now growing even more annoyed with your continued vagueness.
I'm trying to fucking think, dude. I'm seriously trying, okay? I'm seriously trying.
Miquella lets out an exasperated sigh, now almost at the end of his patience. You're trying, he mimics sarcastically, his tone getting increasingly snarky.
Mog is getting closer, and he hears how he steps into that freaking arena of his.
Miquella's expression goes from tired and annoyed to slight concern. Moog is getting closer. He inquires, his voice growing a little bit quieter.
Just do what you do best and focus and don't lose your sight of your goal. Do everything you think is right. Just focus on things because time runs out. I wasted your time, dude. I could have used it better. I'm sorry.
Miquella is almost stunned by your words, but he quickly regains his composure. I thank you, he responds, taken aback by your sudden apology.
I cannot help it. I am not perfect. I am not mighty. I cannot control my mind so much all the time.
Miquella looks at you almost softly, now having less of a hostile expression on his face. Who said that you were supposed to be perfect? He questions, now speaking with a calmer tone.
Just more in presence, I think.
Miquella is confused for a second by your words, but he quickly to brush you think too much. He responds, now having an amused expression once more.
I was killed by the Blood Fiend. Very ugly, monstrous thing.
This causes Miquella to grow completely still. You were killed by the Blood Fiend. He queries, now growing very concerned for your well-being.
And I'm now alive once again. From the side of grace. I am okay. And I am going to retrieve the runes that are left at that position.
Miquella is stunned by your words. You resurrected through the sight of grace. He inquires, utterly amazed to hear such a thing actually being able to happen.
Because of this, I can do what I am setting out to do. Because of this, it's all about this.
Miquella, now extremely intrigued, presses further. Because of this, you are able to do what exactly? He inquires, his mind swirling with questions.
I will aid you to achieve godhood. You will gain might to use your charm that is bringing peace. But I will aid your vision, but I will negotiate with you when you are a god. Or right before that, or I am in a position of doing so. And if it happens that I am not the one who you will meet, I am sorry, and I hope you will do best you can.
Miquella is almost stunned by your words, but he finds himself growing more intrigued by the moment. Aid me to achieve godhood. He responds softly, now thoroughly amazed by your confidence in him.
To be frank, I am even mightier than you. If it happens that I am forced to fight you, you would, even with that new might, you would succumb and be lost.
Miquella raises a brow, now growing intrigued and slightly amused. If we ever fight? He inquires, his tone growing slightly playful.
Or if you ever fight anyone who is grace chosen or grace guided. There is gonna be chosen tarnished who will possess unnatural might, who will see his ambition, whatever he decides to ally with, come true. That fate itself allows.
Miquella is now growing interested. The thought of there being a grace garnished out there that may surpass even himself growing inside his mind. You speak of a grace-guided tarnished who possesses more strength than even myself. He inquires, his curiosity growing.
And yeah, I will aid you. I will, after a while, when things run smoothly and war is forgotten thing, due to the might that you possess, I will lay out the vision for certain things that I wish to happen. That are just that I would first and foremost add to the age of compassion to be included to the age of reclamation. That would be in my vision.
Miquella listens intently to your words, finding himself even more intrigued than ever. The age of compassion, he inquires, his mind beginning to wander.
And reclamation.
Miquella cocks his brow, now even growing a little bit excited by this new concept of yours. The age of compassion and reclamation? He questions, his voice growing enthusiastic.
Thank the name of the Count Ymir. He gave it to me when I explained it with more detail and more focus my vision to him. I'm sorry that I cannot repeat the processes and things that I said some other time. A lot more confidence and focus.
Miquella lets out a soft sigh, growing a little bit irritated that you are apologizing again. Do you always have to be so apologetic? He inquires, his tone growing slightly annoyed.
Actually I don't. Yeah, actually, fuck you.
A look of stunned surprise momentarily flashes across Miquella's face. I beg your pardon? He questions, completely taken aback by your sudden outburst.
Is that better? I ask with ease in my voice, not hostility at all.
Miquella lets out a soft chuckle, amused by your change in mannerisms. It is actually. He responds with slight amusement, his irritation slowly beginning to melt away.
I want to rebuild many ruins because I think this because Elden Ring and the lands between is filled with soldiers and they will be less required when there is no amount of war to be had, except the Lovecraftian monsters that will invade time to time and the certain unnatural beasts. Of course there is gonna be need for protection, but most of them I think they are gonna benefit from just having a jobs and such. And rebuilding ruins would be one of those projects.
Miquella nods his head in agreement, now fascinated by the vision you're describing. The land between rebuilt and repopulated, no war at all, he inquires, his tone growing soft. He is almost entranced by your depiction of peace.
Of course, I have ignored the space monsters like Astel and such. I think they are outside of the even might that you could use. They are not going to come peacefully, and there is always gonna be threats like that.
Miquella hums softly, growing a bit more serious again. I see, so not true peace, he responds, his mind already starting to think about how to combat these external threats.
Radan will do it, don't worry, and he is going to be more mightier than ever.
Miquella's expression of concern grows a little bit less intense, now hearing that Radan is going to be fighting alongside him. Radan, he responds, a look of awe beginning to spread across his face.
Alongside me for a certain amount of time, but my sacrifice is required. I need to feed myself to the tree so the new age will have a lot more legitimacy, because the natural death cycle and deathblight must be done with. And Godwin must be released from the curse that he's put on by Rani the Witch.
Miquella's expression becomes sympathetic, now understanding why you are willing to sacrifice yourself. To release Godwin and to create an age of peace. He murmurs, his tone growing solemn again.
Yeah, that is it. I am very tired. Maybe it is just the mist of the Saint Trina that is left into this pit of giant coffin-like structures and such. Yeah.
Miquella cocks his brow, curious at the mention of the mist of Saint Trina. The mist of Saint Trina? He inquires, now growing completely invested in the conversation again.
This is very funny thing. Now you hear how Mog is scrapping outside of your cocoon. He is ripping apart the wooden veins and such when he's reaching out for you.
Miquella lets out a slight chuckle at the thought of Moog trying to break his way into the cocoon. I see, he's getting impatient, he comments, a smirk forming on his expression.
Am I underwhelming? No. Thank you for spending your last minutes of freedom with myself talking about these things. And potentially, if we are never going to meet or talk again, I hope you for the best. But if it happens that you are the one who I will meet, this has been very productive conversation, and it will be lot less explanation on my part, and it is going to do for me a lot easier.
Miquella laughs softly at your words, finding you to be both incredibly irritating and yet somehow endearing at the same time. It has been a very fascinating conversation, he responds, now smiling a bit in amusement.
But yeah, try to ask Mog politely. And say to him right now, like, could he just please leave, that you're not interested, whatever he has in mind. I think he can hear you if you yell.
Miquella cocks a brow, now thoroughly amused. You think that if I ask him politely, he will just leave me alone? He inquires, now trying hard not to laugh.
Try it even. And if he...
A mischievous glint flashes in Miquella's eyes as he decides to play along. Fine. He responds, now letting out a soft chuckle before he yells out with as much volume as he can manage.
I am listening now, very eager to hear. I am interested how Mog reacts after he hears your decline and your polite way of saying that you're not interested. How Mog reacts.
Miquella waits a few moments, listening intently for Moog's response, hoping deep down that it somehow works. There is a long silence as you hear the scraping of something heavy being dragged across the floor, followed by an almost guttural sigh, but no words are said.
Does he continue scraping towards you? Or is he annoyed but still keeps going?
The scratching noise grows louder, signifying that Moog is still stubbornly attempting to get into the cocoon. There is still no words spoken by Moog, though he seems utterly annoyed with Miquella's politeness.
Hannes nods. He smirks a little bit, and he just calmly said, it was worth the try.
Miquella can't stop himself from chuckling softly despite the situation, his face growing into a wide grin. He is still going, he comments, amused by Moog's stubbornness.
He is going to play his part. But I now know that I don't feel any guilt, any shred of guilt, disposing of him, even under a charm.
Miquella is slightly taken aback by your comment, but he quickly regains his composure. You feel no guilt? He responds, his curious tone turning slightly serious.
What comes to Mog?
Miquella hums softly, pondering over your words. No guilt at all? He repeats, a hint of concern creeping into his tone.
I am frustrated. What comes to Mog, specifically Mog and Ranni, Mog and Ranni and Dung Eater. Those three, I don't feel any guilt of disposing or doing whatever with, because they are not my friends, or even I am not even fond of them. Those three I don't like. Mog, Dung Eater, and Ranni the Witch.
Miquella is stunned by the sudden harshness of your words, but he quickly responds, his tone still a bit serious. You don't like them? He inquires, his expression growing almost thoughtful.
Mog is just psychopathic mass murdering visionary, cult leader. Dung Eater is just mass murdering, psychopathic, insane man who defiles corpses. And Ranni, she is reason why Elden Ring is destroyed, why Godwyn is suffering like he is. She is reason to Deathlight and the wars of Shattering. Her scheming, and she's a cowardly scheming. She doesn't do her dirty work.
Miquella seems utterly disgusted by all three of these individuals, and he can't disagree with you. They do seem utterly deplorable, he responds, his previously serious expression growing thoughtful once again.
Of course there is Raikard, whom I, just out of his more of a honest, brutal ways of inquisitive ways, I have excluded from those people. Marika and you and others who have done so, also done things, also me. It is very fucked up situation. It is just immoral characters all judging each other, fighting over resources and Elden Ring parts. I'm being all hypocriticals, and I'm just the one who possesses the greatest capability to make my vision come true.
Miquella nods his head, agreeing with your words. The lands between are full of hypocrisy, he responds, his tone growing solemn once more.
Tell me, just by pure interest, have you heard of Midra?
Miquella cocks his head in curiosity, his interest piqued. Midra, he inquires, now growing curious.
He is a man who was deceived by his wife. He is impaled by the horrible, gigantic needle-like weapon that has boxerated his ears, lungs, everything, and his life suffering, stitched together by the inquisitors of the Horns and people. And his wife told him to endure and endure continuously without end.
Miquella's expression grows solemn as he takes in your words, almost feeling sympathy for the unfortunate Midra. That sounds terrible, Miquella responds in a hushed tone. Miquella's expression is now one of horror and sympathy. That is truly horrible, he responds, his tone growing sympathetic.
Hannes' character relates to Midra somewhat. They both are experiencing pain, but Midra's is overwhelmingly more horrible. He is truly deserving becoming the Lord of Frenzied Flame, and he is in his... I cannot even say, I don't know. He is going to become the Lord of Frenzied Flame, and Hannes is going to seek him out and show him mercy.
Miquella is growing increasingly sympathetic, now becoming more interested in this Hans character. Hans? He inquires, his voice growing slightly hopeful.
That is me.
Miquella is slightly stunned by this revelation, but he manages to regain his composure. You wish to help Mitra? He inquires, his tone growing slightly optimistic.
Yes. I don't know.
You don't know? He inquires, his tone growing a bit curious once again.
I don't know about anything.
Miquella sighs softly, now growing exasperated once more with your vagueness. You keep saying that, he responds, a hint of annoyance creeping into his tone.
Can you, know many things, yet you feel that you don't know anything?
Miquella looks at you with a confused expression, now completely befuddled by your words. I what? His tone becoming even more confused.
Can you feel, do you ever feel like that you know many things, but you don't know anything? Same time. As contradicting as it is.
Miquella is now thinking deeply as he tries to understand what you're trying to say. Sometimes, yes, he responds after a moment, his tone growing slightly thoughtful.
Fair enough. Mog's hand is now gripping through the thing. You see it. You see the light of the coming inside the cocoon. And he's more closer, he's more careful. He doesn't seek to harm you anyway. But it is going to be just minutes now.
Miquella can't help but feel a sense of urgency now, his eyes growing slightly panicked. Minutes? He inquires, a hint of fear creeping into his tone.
Use your charm right now. Don't fear. But he is not going to hurt you even if you don't use your charm, but don't hesitate. Use it immediately. You are not going to experience pain, I hope. And I think you won't. It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay.
Miquella takes a deep breath, trying to steady himself and calm his racing hearts. All right, I'm going to try. He responds softly, his tone growing determined.
Stay strong and become strong, and very well. The connection fades away.
Miquella is stunned, now looking almost disappointed that you're not there to advise him anymore. Good luck, he responds softly, trying to reassure himself.